This podcast is not sponsored or supported by any business or organization. The views reflected on these podcast episodes are my own. Be aware I am not a medical doctor, travel agent, or any other kind of expert. But I hope you still enjoy. Hey friends, welcome to the Gluten Free Advocate, a Substack and podcast that helps me process my health journey and my determination to pretend that those health conditions don't exist at all. If you're looking for tips, tricks, and learnings for traveling the world with celiac disease and type 1.5 diabetes, you have come to the right place. Now, let's get started. Hey everybody, you guys, what a day. I'm really excited for you that you are experiencing this conversation for the first time. There were a list of people when I started this podcast that if everything worked out and I got to talk to people that I thought were the coolest in this community, there is one person that I think will be on in a few weeks that you'll be able to listen to, and Kendra was another person on the list. She has just made gluten-free fun because she got a dog involved. Her pet Suki, if you go to her social media platforms, Suki is the cutest little pup. She actually apparently is much larger in person than she appears on social media, but she has trained her dog to be a gluten detection dog in partnership with other trainers. And I was always really curious about the process because when I looked into it, it was a $20,000 minimum experience, thing that I would have to do. And I get to do a lot of cool things in my life, but none of it gives me $20,000 to spend on a dog, unfortunately. And Kendra is determined to make this service of having a gluten detection dog more accessible to folks. And I am so thankful and so appreciative of all the work that she does, and I love learning about it. I'd heard so many different reports and conflicting opinions, and just getting to talk to her was so empowering and inspiring and exciting. So I'm going to just be quiet and let you get to the episode, but please give me feedback, and I really hope that you enjoy another episode of the Gluten Free Advocate. Hi, Kendra. Thank you so much for joining. For the longest time, I thought that you were Suki. So I'm so glad that it's evolved. Excuse me.
You are not alone.
Yeah. Sorry, choked on a piece of granola bar right as I started speaking with you, but
Okay.
so excited for this conversation. It's one I've wanted to do for a really, really long time. So thank you so much for that.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to be here. It's great to finally meet you.
Yeah. I always start every podcast episode with, for those of us that are living under a rock and haven't seen you and Suki and all that you guys do, would you mind taking me on your celiac diagnosis journey and catching those of us up?
Yeah. So I was diagnosed with celiac disease after being really, really sick. I was diagnosed in 2017. And I was sick, very sick for a really long time and just couldn't figure out what was going on and went to 14 different doctors until finally someone tested me for celiac disease. So I didn't have traditional symptoms, although now looking back, I had lots of traditional symptoms, but what was really causing it was just I had terrible cough that would not go away and was not explained by anything else. And I just was getting sicker and sicker and sicker. And then finally got the diagnosis, went gluten free, and felt so much better. But it's still, I had this cough that was terrible for over 4 months. And so when I finally did go gluten-free, I used to travel a lot for work. And so I was traveling, and every time I ate out, I was getting sick. And the last time I went out was right before lockdown during the pandemic. And I'm like, I can't live like this anymore. So I thought, you know what? When everything was shut down, I think it's a good time to train a dog. So I decided to train a dog to detect gluten and work with a trainer. And that was kind of when I started my Instagram, was to share her training journey with friends and family. Little did I know that friends and family didn't care at all about that. But there's a huge audience of other people with celiac disease that cared about it, and pet lovers too. I have people that are pet lovers that follow too, but really, and then I kind of saw it as an opportunity to educate, and it grew from there. So that's kind of how I came on the gluten-free scene.
I love that. And I started following you, I feel like a long, long time ago. So for you to say it started during COVID, it feels like it's been longer than that where I've been following the journey. But
Yeah.
Suki is just adorable. I recommend that everyone go and follow your page and see the journey that the two of you have together. What I, because of you, started looking into getting a dog of my own and seeing if that was possible. And I still have not gotten a dog of my own, and I want to make sure I have the time to be able to dedicate in the way that you described. And we'll talk more about all of that process in a second. But did you take a lot of thought about what breed of dog that you chose and why Suki herself?
Yeah, so not really. And I didn't
Okay.
know. So when I went into it, I had a dog that was 16 years old, a
Mm,
Bichon. So I knew he wasn't going to be around very much longer. And with everything else that was going on during the pandemic, one of my friends was like, you need another dog because you're gonna like fall into depression with all this
yeah.
stuff if you lose him. So that was my kind of like, hey, now's the time. And then I knew I wasn't traveling because everything was shut down. Didn't realize it would be shut down for as long as it was. But
Right.
so I just started like calling, but the information that was available was very poor. I learned about training a gluten detection dog from a episode on a podcast, and I was like,
Okay.
oh, it's possible. And so that made me go, you know what? I think I should do this. But everybody that I talked to didn't really know. And I know about dogs. My background is in the pet industry and pet products. So I know a lot about dogs. So I kind of knew characteristics, but I don't know anything about, I didn't know necessarily about training because
Mm,
the only training I'd done of dogs was just pet dogs and
right.
train them to sit and roll over and stuff like that. So I fumbled and
Mm,
I ended up deciding to get a Portuguese water dog because I'd had a Portuguese water dog before. That's what Suki is. She's a purebred Portuguese water dog. And they're working dogs, so they're bred to work the fishing boats in Portugal. I don't recommend them to most people because they come with other challenges. Like I've had one before, so I knew what I was getting into. They're very smart dogs. They're very active. They require a lot of stimulation.
mm,
And that is challenging. It's challenging for me as someone, with autoimmune disease. Like there are days when my health isn't great and I
mm,
still have to make sure she gets exercise. And
right.
so, and for gluten detection dogs, celiac service dogs, they need to have a good off switch, and
Mm,
building that into a super active dog is really hard. It just
right.
requires a higher level of training. So I wish I knew more going in. I mean, I love Suki and it's a great choice, but I made my life a whole lot harder because I didn't know. The other thing that I didn't know was going and selecting puppies that I now know, like finding the right breeder. I knew enough because I had
Right.
had that prior experience, but there was a lot of things that I did not ask. And I know my breeder didn't do things. I got lucky
Mm,
and that Suki's as great as she is, but because I didn't do the homework ahead of time, I 100% could have had more issues. The other part is even testing the litter. Like it's a really big deal to figure out what dog, which dog in a litter. You could do a litter of puppies, and out of 7 puppies, one is going to be a good candidate. And I the breeder let me pick between 2 dogs, and Suki was the better of the 2 dogs. That was not optimal. You want to be able to pick between the whole things. And then you do certain tests. Like I did a few things, but I had no idea. It was, me on the phone with my neighbor going, hey, what do you think about this? And
mm,
that was not the right way to go about it. And I could have ended up with nothing with a cute dog. But now that I know through the training that I've done, the work that I've done in training with trainers that specialize in this, and the mistakes I made, like I have had to make up for a lot of things because of that poor information. So, and I hear bad things from people too. That's one of the things with having a large social media platform. I hear of people that get dogs from people that claim they're trained dogs and they aren't. And so they've spent, 10, 12, $20,000 and they have a dog that's not even fit to go out in public. And I don't want that ever to happen to people. So I'm always doing your homework ahead of time. So like you thinking about possibly getting a dog, really figuring out what it is. And so I worked with some trainers to put together some resources. So I have some courses that help you like walk through. They're short, they're 30 minutes each, but what are my needs? Because you have to know what are your needs in terms of, do you have other issues? Where do you live? What's your lifestyle like? All those things are really important into what kind of dog. And then you can find a breeder and how to find the breeder and what red flags are for breeders, because there's plenty of red flags for breeders and there's plenty of breeders that you go, yes, this is the right kind of one, because we want them raising dogs that are good. And then finally, how to test the puppies in the litter so that you have a higher rate of success when it's done.
This is all so fascinating. I also want to take a quick moment before I go into the next question of, again, I've been following you for a really long time and really appreciate that when you've learned that maybe something that you've said in the past no longer applies, you are always really great about correcting yourself and putting it out there and making sure anybody that's following you, you take your platform really seriously, which I beyond appreciate. So thank you for doing that, because not many people would.
Yeah, I'm not in it for the money, for sure. I'm doing it to educate and inform people. And that's the big part. I don't want to get those calls from people to say, hey, I'm left with this, and because it's heartbreaking. And I've talked to people who it literally has impacted their lives negatively because they were, swindled. And that's not good. That's not good. We don't want that.
It's interesting that you say that. And it makes this sounds like I finally made a smart financial decision for myself, because when I saw what you were able to do with Suki, of course, I started looking into it for myself. And like what you said, if having an autoimmune condition, I lived on my own for a very long time. And I was like, you know what? I don't think I can handle having a dog where it's just me, because there are days I can't get out of bed, and that's not fair to the dog. The dog is a family member to me, and to take advantage. And and you were very instrumental in me making the best decision for me at that moment, because I did reach out and ask some questions, and you were very kind and generous. And I was almost afraid to keep asking you questions because I didn't want to take advantage of that generosity. So knowing that you have these courses out there is really helpful, because I'm sure your time is also valuable. And to just say the same things over and over again, I'm sure drives you nuts. Where could someone like me go and find these courses? Are they on your Instagram page? Where can we go?
It's linked through my Instagram, but we have a website called celiacservicedogs.com, and tons of articles, tons of free information. And then I have across all my platforms. So it's Suki PWD on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. So I have channels everywhere that I have videos of Suki in action. And then I share practical tips for living gluten-free on a website, sukipwd.com. So I kind of have two websites that I work, but all the gluten detection information is on celiacservicedogs.com. So we walk through that, and that's where you can get the courses. You can also book time to meet with me through either one of those websites, through the links in my bio on any of my social media platforms. And that way, if people have like more personalized questions, a lot of times people want to figure out like, what does this look like? I've gone through the courses, but I want to know what this looks like and how to actually do that. And then I talk to a lot of people too that maybe are newer newly diagnosed. So
Mm.
how do I travel? I know you're a big traveler. I travel a lot for business, so that was a whole nother realm because you don't have a lot of choices when you travel for business. So how to
Mm.
do it and not stand out amongst your business colleagues or customers. So those kind of things. So yeah, I have all that. You can connect with my social media, Suki PWD everywhere, and or go to either one of my websites. You can get to me. Yeah.
Do you feel it is imperative that people come to you and talk to you and also use the trainings with you in partnership with an actual, like a trainer, a more formal trainer? Or do
Yes.
you feel that, okay, perfect. I'm going to let you
Yes,
speak to
you
that then.
can't train. I don't recommend, this is not something you can do on your own. And we
Right.
actually just recorded. So I'm not a trainer. I don't do the training. I professionally do corporate education programs, learning and development. So I have friends that are trainers that do this professionally. And so what I did was I helped develop the courses to take, just like I do with subject matter experts in
Mm-hmm.
corporations, and create the courses that provide their expertise to people in a easy way to digest. Obviously, I know a lot about it because I am a handler and I did train my dog. The method I recommend is that you work with a trainer and train together. So the trainer gives you the lesson, you train over Zoom, they teach you what to do, and then you work on it with your dog. And so just like you would working with a coach or, a music teacher, I compare it a lot to music because it works like
Mm-hmm.
this. The early stages of learning a song, I don't play instruments, but I could sit and play chopsticks real easy issues. But on the other side, how weird that um, so I could play chopsticks really easily, but then on the other side, I could not. I'm if you wanted me to play a more, you want me to play Mozart, which my next door neighbor is a concert pianist, she could 100% do that, but it's not going to work for um, it's not going to work for her to do that. Like
Right.
for me to be able to do that, she could do that, but I can't go from chopsticks to Mozart without lots of training and instruction from somebody that knows what they're doing. And that's how gluten detection works. You have to train with a trainer that gives you that expertise and helps walk you through that process. Yeah.
That's, yeah, really. I like the music comparison because I feel like a lot of people just assume, oh, they go and pick up their dog and then it's, fully baked, and it's no, it's a process, which
Yeah.
is people need to go in getting animals eyes wide open and not just thinking of the rose color glasses version of what having a dog means. How do you
Yeah.
balance when to bring Suki with you versus when you've got to go on your own? Because I imagine knowing how people are with people when people have like for example, there's a guy that's on TikTok, they're Matthew and Paul, and they have one
Yeah.
Paul is blind, or and they have
Yeah.
a guide dog, and he has to deal with so much in
Mr.
advocating.
Maple. Yeah.
Yeah, in
Yeah, I'm
advocating.
familiar with I mean it's different than that in that
Right.
obviously if you have a guide dog, like one of my favorites is Blue.
Mm,
And Blue's an amazing, that's a great account. I write with his handler all the time where she's visually impaired, he's
hmm.
guiding her. Like
Right.
he needs to be with her all the time, to
Right.
help. And same for Paul and Mr. Maple. But for me, I can get by without her, right? So there's
Right.
places, I take her lots of places. Obviously, if there's food involved, I take her.
Okay.
Now, I don't take her if it's going to be uncomfortable for her. So a lot of people would take their dog to like a concert or something like that. I wouldn't, because I can make choices and not eat,
Yeah.
and it's not worth her comfort because the noise would be loud for her. I'd have to bring ear protection and things
Right.
like that. If it's easier for me to do without her, I don't. So like she does work a lot in grocery stores. That's helpful, but frankly, it's harder for me to take her to grocery stores because it
Right.
makes grocery shopping, which I don't love anyway, harder.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's just because you're watching out and grocery stores are crowded and the cart, I will take her, but I don't. And she doesn't love it either. I
Right.
do, if I eat out at restaurants, 99% of the time I take her.
And how do you balance it with, because the other thing I love about Suki is that she's portable. You can travel with her fairly easily. Is that something that when you're going on a business trip that you factor in, or not so much? How does
Yeah,
that
I mean,
work?
she's not small. She's 50 pounds.
Oh,
So
she looks
she's
so
a big,
teeny tiny.
yeah, she looks
Yeah.
small. Everybody's like, she's tiny. No, she's a medium breed dog. And I do recommend medium to large breed for this type of
Okay.
work because they take up more space and things like that. And then yeah, so she flies with me. So she is a task trained service dog. And after you go through the training, you're not only training the odor part of it, the gluten, you're also training for public access. So
Yeah.
proper behavior in public, and you work on that with the trainer as well, and you're practicing it on your own. So once they finish, they get tested not only in gluten and to make sure they can do all the levels of gluten, but then they get tested in public access, and they have to pass both to be qualified to work in public. And so she's a fully task trained service dog, so she can go everywhere. We've traveled to 13 different cities. We've flown over 30,000 miles together. I stopped counting at 30. I probably should do that. We've gone to Canada. That's the furthest out at, well, not furthest distance wise. No, we flew to Hawaii. That was probably the furthest
Mm.
distance wise that we've gone. But yeah, so she travels everywhere with me, including business meetings. I have stopped taking, like, if it's a I did some trainings where I was teaching for 8 hours,
Mm.
as part of a team of people teaching. I didn't bring her on those trips because that would be more stressful to me that I'm having
Right.
to present. And so I was like, you know what? It was like one overnight. I can figure my way around that, right? I can take
Yeah.
care of myself. So I didn't bring her for that. I missed her and it was hard, so those kind of things. I also have, like, I've been on a couple celiac cruises. I know you go on celiac cruises. She stayed home for those because then I could have a full vacation, because it
Right.
is still bringing a dog with you.
Yep.
And it's kind of equivalent to if you had a toddler, like a really well behaved toddler, but you have to watch out for, how hot it is for them. Do they have their booties? Is it, are they comfortable? Is it a safe place for them? Is it not? You can't relax in the same way that you
Right.
can when you're just footloose and fancy free.
Yeah, that was something else that I thought about with that as well, because I have celiac, and that is on its own a ton to manage just for my own person. And then I've been diagnosed with other autoimmune conditions on top of that that are also very time consuming and stressful for travel.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's so interesting to me the dynamic of Suki is there to make your life easier in those exact situations, but then also adds this other layer of stress and complexity to your travels. How do you kind of balance that all and make sure that you keep yourself organized? Asking for the friend that is me.
Yeah, I mean, you have to plan ahead. Obviously, for celiac, I'm still bringing my own food with me, and I
Right.
have other autoimmune diseases too, and other health issues. So I'm bringing bringing your food along with you, because just because you have her, it doesn't guarantee there's going to be safe food available, right?
Right.
Especially in airports and things like that. But then I also have to bring all her supplies as well. So I don't travel
Yeah.
light. Back in the day, pre-celiac, I always did carry-on only. I don't do that anymore, but I don't hold myself to that standard. I created actually a whole guide on how to travel with your service dog, which is super
Mm.
helpful. So I have different things. I do a lot where I research beforehand, so I know where the areas where she can, the relief areas are, and making sure what it is. Sometimes you can have flexibility in terms of when you travel, that you might be able to get better seats or I haven't had this happen, but sometimes they'll end up giving you an extra seat for the dog. Suki travels underneath the seat in front of me.
Hmm.
Or if the bulkhead, originally we were doing it at the bulkhead, the front part of the plane. I find it more comfortable for both me and her to go under. She likes it under the seat, and I like it under the seat
Yeah.
a little bit better. But some handlers prefer it the other way. It's just part of getting used to it, and then I have a separate medical bag with food and
Mm.
with stuff for her and with
Yeah.
medical stuff for me. And those are the kind of things you need to make sure you have treats and you have food and I'm carrying, when I went to Hawaii, I didn't even think about the fact that I'd need shampoo and stuff like that. So I had to buy shampoo there for her to wash her off because we were going to the beach and things
Right.
like that. But yeah, it adds an extra thing. But on the other hand, it's been really great because I have this kind of comfort with me all the time. So
Yeah.
going into stressful situations and things like that. I mean, she's not a psychiatric service dog. She's not performing like those kind of
Right.
tasks, but it's sure a comfort to have her and
Yeah.
to feel like you're not alone in certain situations. You're like, oh, I've got my buddy with me. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I find I'm learning because my partner has had a dog. She's 9 years old, and we're all about to become one big happy family together. And the more time I spend with her, it's really fascinating to me to watch dogs and how they react to different people. So, my parents have a dog, my partner has a dog, and then one of the neighbors that we have is a dog that we see often. And I have type 1 diabetes. And just there's
Mhm.
been a few times where my numbers will be starting to go low and my phone has not notified me yet, and where they're just like, I'm just going to sit with you for a second. You're like, why are you on top of me? What do you need? Your food, you're fed. You just went out to the bathroom. What? And my phone goes off. So I find dogs in particular to be such fascinating creatures. Humans are
Mhm.
fascinating on their own, right? But dogs are on a
Mhm.
different level. Do you, so as you're navigating, because then everybody thinks, oh, well, my dog is brilliant and can be a service dog. And I'm sure you're like, no, no, that's
Yeah.
not true. How do you explain to people what the differences are between, yes, their dog might be smart, but they're not a service animal right away?
Yeah, I mean, it's thousands of hours of training. So it
Yeah.
takes 2 years to train a gluten detection dog, a celiac
Okay.
service dog.
Wow.
So there's a lot of training involved, and there's maintenance training. So that was one of the
Right.
things when I originally trained Suki, I found her kind of having some issues with stuff, and I didn't realize what type of maintenance training I needed to do. And
Mm,
so uh, I was lacking in that, and that was causing both of us to have issues. And I'm in train. You're in training as the handler, and the dog's also in training when you train. It's not the same as just letting the dog do stuff, or even a bodily alert. So some
mm.
dogs alert naturally to things like migraines or blood sugar or things like that. You still have to shape it into a cue, like that your dog coming up and acting a little strange often can happen. But you have to shape it. But with gluten, it's not a natural, like it's
Right.
hard. And then you have an alert to gluten and then you have an off alert. So you do an all clear. And you have to figure out, teach them the all clear also includes all these other foods
Right.
and in combination. And then, by the way, you're not just looking for wheat gluten, you need to be able to alert to it in rye and barley and derivatives thereof, like soy
Yeah.
sauce, right? So all those things. So it's one of those where, yeah, it's just it's a lot of training. And even though a dog is smart, they might not have the interest in training, they might not have the temperament for training. And those are kind of the two things. Like I get a lot of people, well, my husky is so smart. Well, the other part is a husky is a high drive. and that off switch is going to be super, super hard. It was
Yeah.
really hard to train for Suki. So that was a lot more time and effort. And if you compare her to my friend Carrie Bastier, who is the trainer with celiac service dogs, and Carrie has a Labrador. Well, her dog is all, I'm ready, I'm ready, I'm ready. I'm so excited. You know, she's ready to do it. Super easy. Her off switches is good. It's like natural because labs are certain kinds of labs, not all labs, but she's very chill. Versus Suki, she goes, "Are you interested? Okay, I need to know what's in it for me." She's really smart, so she's more of a, "Okay, I'll do it for you. I can see where it is." But you know, so it's more of a we had to learn, and she loves to work and she's excited. You can see that in the videos. But there's times when she's like, "No, I'm not. I'm not feeling it today." So those are the things. So it's a little harder for me that sometimes I have to work around it. And obviously, she's 6 years old, so we have a great relationship and stuff. But early on, as a puppy in the training, it was yeah, it made it more challenging. So that's the thing. As you have dogs, you have to work through, and as it goes, you run into other issues like some dogs might have fear reactions. They may just all of a sudden decide, okay, this is a weird thing. I don't like, uh, you know, I don't like to go into a small space that is a bathroom stall. So you got to
Right.
work through that kind of a thing. Or, oh my gosh, this floor is weird. Dogs, you know, because you have to train in different environments. I was,
Right.
one of the first longer trips I took with Suki, we connected through the Austin airport, and we were just walking along and there was a glass wall, and on the other side of the glass wall was an escalator going down. She froze because she'd not been
Right.
around a glass wall. Like her, she didn't have the sense of how to go. So then I had to on the fly work through getting her going and not being afraid of this strange environment that she was in. So it's a lot of training, it's a lot of practice, it's a lot of adaptability.
I I feel like I can sit and listen to you talk about this all day long. But I want to be, you know, happy, like considerate of your time, I should say. Sorry, what are words? Um, and this was all really instrumental and helpful as someone like myself who has never had a dog, who's never had a pet, let alone a dog,
Mm-hmm.
of all the different things to consider. And I also love that you're providing an avenue that, because when I was looking in the beginning, it was a $20,000 price tag. And I freelance that. I can't do just shell out $20,000 as much as I would like to have something that I think is very important to be able to have access to, which is a gluten detection dog. And I feel like through your courses and through your process and what you do on social media, you're making it just a little bit more accessible each and every day. So thank you for your service and what you do for this community. So thank you.
You are so welcome. Yeah. And the courses don't teach you how to do it. You still have to work with the
Yeah.
trainer. But when you
Yes.
do owner training, it is more, it's something that you can budget for a little bit better. So
Yeah.
it runs about 400 to 600 a month for the training part of it.
Yep.
So that's still not inexpensive. I mean, that's a big
Right.
line item, but you're paying per month. Like when I had first looked into it, they're like, it's $25,000 to get a trained dog, which I don't recommend doing that because you don't get trained. But
Right.
you know, you're going to pay half up front and then half as you go, and you can do pay. Like I don't have that chunk. Like
Yeah.
that's a hard chunk of change to
Yeah.
do versus a monthly payment that I can figure out how that fits into my budget, right?
Right.
But that's why I did the courses too, because I didn't know any of that stuff.
Right.
And so I worked with the wrong trainer starting out with. I made all these mistakes and I wasted, I mean, in that case, I wasted, I think it was $1,700
Right.
out, gone.
Right.
And she could have broken my dog. That's how bad it was. So
Yeah.
so that way you have the information, and so that you can go, ooh, this sounds good or it doesn't sound good. And I have interview
Yeah.
guides, I have everything like that, so you can figure that out. But yeah,
So again, so appreciative. And I feel like as the celiac community continues to grow, so will the hopefully the accessibility and the accessibility to having a dog like Suki or trainings that you're talking about is a I appreciate you being you're kind of the swimmer before the boat, and I really appreciate that. I always ask these fun little rapid fire questions at the end of every episode if you're willing to play along with me, and then
absolutely.
I'll let you
Absolutely.
go on your way. This one's not so rapid fire, but when do you find yourself needing to advocate the most with having celiac disease?
I think definitely going out and restaurants,
Mm,
being in new environments. I think another place that's hard is in, business meetings or meetings with groups of people and things like that. I
yeah,
find that I have to educate a lot more to friends and family and things like that. That tends to be a real pain point for a lot of people where the people that you've known your whole life that go, oh, you used to eat that. Remember how we used to go there? That's a hard part.
yeah. Okay, so in your opinion, where is the city with the best food?
Oh, probably New York. It could just because New York has everything and you can get it. I mean, you could. I was there for a business meeting and I had stuff Uber Eated to me, and didn't leave. Like delivered for during the lunch break at my business meeting. So that's great. I'd say my other cities Denver is one of my top favorites.
Mm,
Phoenix, Portland, all those are really good gluten free cities.
yeah, I'd agree. And as a New Yorker, I appreciate that being in the top spot.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Uh,
I don't think I don't think anything compares. I mean, there are other cities that are great, but New
yeah.
York is New York. And I'll give you one Midwest one. Minneapolis is amazing for gluten free.
Oh, interesting. Did not realize
Hmm.
that. Where is your favorite city to explore?
Oh gosh. I'm a European kind of girl, so my family heritage is from the Czech Republic. So
Oh,
Prague is a really amazing city. I've not been back since my celiac diagnosis, but I hope to someday soon.
yeah. I've heard it's really great. It has good options there. Just out of
Yeah.
curiosity, does Suki like light up in a particular city that you guys have traveled to that she seems really excited by, or is that not her jam?
I'd say she likes more environments, not she's not
Okay.
cities aren't that much fun for her. She likes like
Yeah,
if
I
I
can
go
imagine.
someplace where there's we went skiing a few years ago for Christmas. We went up to the mountains and that was her first time in snow. We live in San
Oh,
Diego.
yeah.
And she really lit up and then we ended up going down from the mountains and our friends were out of town. We stayed at their house, and their backyard was still full of snow. So I could let her off leash and throw her
Yeah.
ball, and that made her super happy. She likes to
Oh,
be places where she can run and play ball, and ball is her favorite thing. And that's how I exercise her a lot, especially if I'm
mm.
feeling really bad. Thankfully, she loves to play ball and she goes after the ball for a good hour every single day. Like that. I could never walk her or run her enough to get her exercise. So I'm very
Yeah.
thankful I have that opportunity.
And then I love that. There's nothing about that that didn't make me happy. My last question for you is, where's the city that you learned the most about yourself?
I'd say here in San Diego,
Mm,
um, uh, I've grown so much and gone through so
mm,
many changes. I've lived here now for a long time.
mm.
Actually, I think this is the longest I've lived anywhere, but um, I've definitely, this is where I was diagnosed. This is where
Yeah.
I bought a house. So there's a lot that has happened living in San Diego. So I think definitely San Diego.
Goodness. Like I said, I've loved this conversation with you, and I know that other people are going to really love it as well. Where can the people find you? I know that you've mentioned it a couple times already, but let's just close it out on a strong note.
Yeah. So anywhere on social media, it's Suki, SUKI PWD. That's for Portuguese water dog. And so you can follow me on any platform. And yeah, I love to do that. And I have a website, sukipwd.com or celiacservicedogs.com.
Thank you so much, Kendra, for your time. I really appreciate it. And I hope this is the
You're
first of many conversations.
Yes. So great to chat with you. Hopefully one day we'll meet up in a city on your travels. If you come out to San Diego,
Yes.
please let me know.
And if you and Suki ever want to enjoy the beaches of North Carolina, feel free to
Oh, yeah,
reach
that
out.
North Carolina is a beautiful state.
Yeah.
I used to
Yeah.
go there a lot for work, but I have not been that way, and I've not been to. Well, I guess I've been to Myrtle Beach, but I don't think that was. Yeah, and I was there for a conference, so I didn't go anywhere except for
Won't hold it against you.
I ate at one restaurant that was overlooking the water, but other than that I didn't do anything water related. And I didn't this was pre Suki, so yeah.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Not as much fun.
Not
Well,
as much
thank
fun.
you so much. Yeah, thank you so much for joining me, and till next time, hopefully.
Yes, thanks, Ashley.
Thank you for joining me this week for an episode of the Gluten Free Advocate. For more information on what's discussed on the podcast, check out the episode description and/or my Substack, The Gluten Free Advocate. If you have any questions or fun stories to share, feel free to reach out at hieatexplorelove@gmail.com. Till next time. This episode is produced by Leigh Francis Productions.